What's the funniest thing you've done to avoid having sex? A couple once tried to have a threesome with me. They kept trying to touch me and massage me. And my awkward, idiotic attempt at diffusing the situation was to complain incessantly about how hungry I was and could we please go find some fried chicken. Finally I had to explicitly tell them I wasn't interested. They were really nice about it. So nice that they believed me about being starving and loaded me down with all this fresh produce. I had to walk home at midnight carrying 2 huge armfuls of cabbage and pears and stuff. All my housemates were up when I got back and wanted to know where I had found a farmer's market so late at night. Back in college I was a designated driver for a group of friends. We get to a party and my sober ass is bored. Then a very drunk woman I knew from one of my classes started hitting on me. Culminating with her telling me she'd F_CK my brains out. Sober me thought this wasn't kosher since she was hammered, so I turned around for a moment and yanked a few hairs out of my nose. It made me eyes water and my nose run and I said, I have a brutal cold you don't want to catch. Why don't you let me get better and then I'll take you out. I gave her my phone number and she, though that was so sweet, she passed out with her head in my lap. 3 days later before class she came up to me, gave me a huge hug, and thanked me for not being a jerk. We ended up dating and she's still one of my best friends. You manually ripped out nose hairs for chivalry's sake. You are a man among men. And have my utmost respect. Went with this girl to some seedy love hotel. I'm Brazilian. She wants me to go down on her. Well, why the fuck not? Thing is, there's a strange smell coming from down there. And it's far from that normal, girly and pleasing smell. No. It's not menstruation. It's not poop. It isn't anything caused by lack of hygiene either. It's not even a yeast infection. I know these smells. Trust me. It's something akin to carrion. Like there's some necrotic tissue inside her parts. When I took her panties off I almost gagged. So I did what any manly man would do. I immediately excused myself to the bathroom and escaped through the window. I shall tell you what this was, but you will not thank me. That is a tampon that she forget to remove. How does one forget to remove a tampon? Late to the show and tell. But why not? This is a story of wingmanship more than turning down sex. Went to a bar with 2 buddies. One of whom was meeting a girl there he had a crush on. She was wasted when we arrived. And after introductions it became apparent she was interested in me. Heavy flirting, obvious touching, etc. My friend with the crush took it in stride, sorta giving me a c'est la vie shrug. But I felt bad. I moved the conversation around till it was ripe to drop a white lie. I was gay. She didn't believe me at first. So I improvised and wrapped my arm around my other friend, who was in the middle of WTFing after hearing me say that, and introduced him as my partner. She did a hip jerk and asked us to prove it. There are those moments when you catch the gaze of a friend and realize that what's about to go down is something that you'll laugh about later, or regale at each other's wedding. It only lasts for a split second. But in those moments you can glimpse the depth of your friendship. We shared a moment like that before exchanging a slow, gentle, familiar kiss. She just stood there, then said, "Wow. You guys don't seem gay." Meanwhile my pal who was into her witnessed the whole thing. Jaw dropped. And bought us 2 shots. She became more obnoxious as the night wore on. And my pal lost all interest. Came out of there with a great story though. TLDR. Kissed another male friend to convince girl I was gay. Edit. Typos and derpy syntax. Ultimate wingman material right here. I decided to create a new account because I had to post something in regards to this. And my girlfriend/family didn't need to know about. A few years back. Single. And on the mend from a 9-year relationship. I was on Facebook chatting with my mother's best friend. We were talking about her kids who are my age. And how they've been. And how I wished I had hung out with them more in high school. The conversation becomes a bit more personal. And it migrates to text. She's asking me how big I am. And how she's always been curious. She's a very attractive lady. But 30 years older than I am. Plus. She has a big rack. Which I got to see based off the pictures she started sending me. In a moment of weakness. I decided. I'm going to hit this. I give her my address. And she starts driving over. In a moment of clarity. I realized what was about to happen and started freaking out. I called my mother shortly before her friend arrived and told her I was homesick. That I missed her cooking. I asked if she could please come over and cook with me. She enthusiastically agreed. And said she'd be right on down. I asked her if she could please call 5 to 10 minutes before she got there because I may be in the shower. Her friend then arrives. And immediately strips down naked before the door even shuts. She starts straddling me and my phone rings. I pick it up. Put it on speaker. And it's my mother saying she's about 5 minutes away. Her friend had the deer in the headlights look. Put her clothes back on. And bolted. TL. DR. I called my mom. You jerked it before she got there, didn't you? I took a girl to her boyfriend's house. That's actually exceptionally clever. I'm assuming she propositioned you. You said yes. And then proceeded to take her to her BF's house. If so, you're a clever man. Not so clever as you might think. The time is high school. We are co-workers. We went out and I had every intention of scoring, but when the time came, I wasn't really into it. So in order to get things on a different track, I suggested we go to Derp's house. Another co-worker that I was passing friendly with, but I had seen her hanging out with. She wasn't too enthusiastic about it. But I decided I was done being there, so I railroaded the decision and drove there. I was plenty surprised when we got there, and he was obviously glad to see his girlfriend. She and I both kept our poker face. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I left quickly. It was never mentioned again by any of us. I ran the heck away. I was with a girl from a party out on the street going at it on top of a car hood in an alley. After a bit she tried to slip me in. Because she was wearing a skirt and no panties, this was easily attainable. She had a death lock on my hips with her legs as I was standing there, and I asked if she had any condoms. She told me no, and again with her death lock on me started to steer me back into her. In my head I was thinking suades and shit. I don't know her. She's not even wearing panties. Instead of telling her I didn't want to, my drunk ass instead went oh, and pointed out across the street. When she looked, I spun out of her grip and all in one motion grabbed my pants back up and went into a full sprint and jumped the fence into someone's yard and took off down the street. About the time I hit the ground over the fence, I heard her yell, "Are you fucking kidding me?" TL. DR. I ran away across an alley and over a fence into someone's yard. Across that and into a full sprint down the street. Good job staying cool under pressure and examining potential risk. Excellent method and execution of exit 2. X. I just say that I have diarrhea. Nobody wants to have sex with someone who has diarrhea. This on behalf of my non-Redditor roommate. A girl in his dorm forced him to walk her home. And then alleged not to have a key to her room. She then pulled him into his bed and tried to get things going in a hurry. He got up, claiming he had to go to the bathroom, grabbed a hoodie, and walked 20 minutes to the library, where he slept for the rest of the night on the ground because the room with the lounge chairs was closed. He got dozens of calls and texts from her, but never heard from her again after that night. Seems risky to leave a scorned woman alone in your room where all your stuff is for a whole night. While wingmaning a friend who was having sex in another room of the house, I had to sleep in the same bed as the girl he was having sex with's ugly friend. So she really wants to do the dirty, but I'm not feeling it with her at all. So very drunk, I decide to make a fort on my half of the bed out of blankets and pillows and such and try to go to sleep. However, she is surprisingly aggressive. So for an hour I have to keep yelling at her. No girls allowed in my fort. Eventually got the message. Freaking right, no girls allowed. That's your fort. There are many like it, but that one was yours. Without your fort, you are useless. Without you, your fort is useless. The sex with my ex-girlfriend was so terrible she'd lay there like a dead fish. Basically that when we would go out to bars, I'd purposely give myself whiskey dick. Edit. IA word. I'll never know why they call it like a fish. Ever fished? Those buggers move a freaking lot when you take them out. My ex though? BTCH was more like a fossil. Stone cold and would just lay there. I meant a dead fish. If I had a girl flippin' and floppin' below me like a live fish, I'd be more concerned that she had epilepsy and was experiencing a seizure mid-coitus. Right? You'd definitely need to check on her after you finished. Wow. That was amazing. For me. Honey. You okay? Honey. I must say, I was expecting more female answers than male ones. I think the stereotype of a Reddit user is outweighing the stereotypes regarding male and female attitudes towards sex. I fell behind a dryer. I was drunk. Sitting up on top of a dryer in a friend's laundry room. The creepy girl I had avoided all evening entered and had me cornered in the room. She pushes up on me, tries unbuckling my belt, and attempts to kiss me. My only method of evasion was to fall backwards behind the dryer and wait until backup arrived. 3 friends heard her calling for help and sprung me from being trapped between the wall and the dryer. I left the room with them as my guardians. I'll never forget the terror of being wedged back there, while watching her fat hot dog fingers try to molest me from above. The image of sausage fingers reaching down for you while you are trapped is hilarious.